Hi and welcome to Made for More. I'm your host, Fiona Morris. I'm a cleaning business owner, mum, partner and serial entrepreneur. I wanted a place where we could come together and tell our industry stories as well as have the conversations that we don't want to have or the tough ones that we need. I will be inviting guest experts from all different walks of life, both from the cleaning industry as well as wealth creation, property, so that we can have the conversations we are often not invited to. Because I believe our industry, myself, you and every other cleaner that we have on this planet is made for more. Hi and welcome to Made for More. I'm your host, Fiona Morris, and this is Martin Eade, aka the Sales Yoda. Martin is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to sales, mentoring, education and leadership. And in my world, he has come into my cleaning business and my coaching business to teach me the art of sales, which is not just about sales, everybody. It's about your value, your self-worth. I actually say that Martin transforms lives and businesses through teaching us how to sell with authenticity and realness, not as a hustle or any sort of slimy sales, but with tried and tested strategies, which is what we are all about at Grow My Cleaning Biz. So Martin, please also introduce yourself, but I'm absolutely thrilled that you are here.
Great to be here, Fiona, and it's lovely to be chatting with you, and congratulations on this podcast series. I know you're going to absolutely smash it. And yes, from the moment I saw you and the first time I heard you speak, Fiona, I knew you were a person who had something to say. So I've been very grateful and very humbled to be part of this journey with you.
Thank you. So just to tap into that a little bit, initially you and I met at a business conference at K2 Elite with the amazing Kerwin Ray, whose legacy we are actually sitting in and delivering. This is the ripple effect of legacy, I believe, is taking what we learnt there and then bringing it into our worlds and then impacting more lives. You spoke at our retreat in Bali, and I know the room got so much value. You're a guest expert in our coaching program for 2025. So I think this is probably the first of what is a bit of a series. So first of all, I would absolutely love for you just first and foremost say, what brought you to be a sales coach in the first place? What is your segue and lead in to actually landing there?
It's a really great question. I have known from a very early age what my personal purpose was, and that was to motivate and inspire. And my life has been a track record to prove that is true. And as you know, I had a sales career, started at 13 years old, had spent time as an elite athlete representing my country, got a job in sales. But really the sales coaching didn't start until I actually met Kerwin Ray and Marie Newham from Business Mastery, because they both came to me and they said, hey, look, Martin, you know how to sell. Could you present some content to the members of our community? And I thought, yeah, I can do that. And from the very first webinar back then that I did, it was that dawning on me that I realized that now, okay, finally, I'm now living my purpose. Finally, I'm now living my mission. Yeah. And it was because I got the opportunity. I never would have thought of doing it, but motivate, inspire, the purpose that I have on this planet, and the ability to serve people at the highest level. As you said, sales is transformational. Yeah. And so sales coaching never occurred to me until I was asked to do it. And so I kind of fell into it, which is kind of a track record that I have. But yeah, so very grateful to Kerwin and Marie for giving me the opportunity, which really got me started on this journey.
Amazing. So let's talk into that little segue where you just said, I get to serve people on the highest level. The podcast Made for More, which is MAID for more, is circled around the cleaning industry. And we serve from the lowest level quite often. And what I have actually found in learning more about sales, I still say to people I'm on training wheels when it comes to sales. I think every now and again you push me off on the bike and I pedal for a bit by myself. But as I've learnt the levels of maturing into sales and still in an early stage, what I think I have realized is that people with a servant heart often are servitudal, or you've even said subservient, because we have the ability now to give a product, but we are not prized very often. And one of your key concepts that I've learned is about pricing. So I'm going to jump into a couple of questions that we've got here that are either yours, mine, or our communities, and I want you to hear your takes on these. Do we need more leads Or is there almost always a sales problem in the back of a service-driven business?
I think it's a bit of column A and a bit of column B.
Yep.
I certainly think, because you could have the best sales process in the world, but you've got no leads, you're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
And so there's the trade-off.
Yep.
But I truly do believe that I'm going to go out on a limb here and say 100% of all businesses do not convert as many leads as they could.
Yeah.
And so what then happens is business owners get frantic about how many leads. Sales are down, I need to generate more leads. Sales are down, so I'm going to spend more on Facebook. Sales are down, so I'm going to do more Google ads.
Yeah.
How about you consider improving your sales process and sell more to the leads you've already got? Increase the conversion rate, because otherwise it's just a race to the bottom. You're generating a whole bucket load of leads. You're not converting them. Generally speaking, then there's resistance. You end up supplicating on price, terms, giving away free stuff. And it's a horrible way to go. Instead of the strategic question, how can I increase sales to the leads I'm currently converting, given that my conversion rate is only X?
Yeah. Yep.
And if you ask that strategic question and continue to ask that question, the solutions will present.
Yeah.
But so many businesses will spend so much on everything other than sales and improving their sales technique. It blows my mind. I'm not going to lie.
It blows my mind now, looking back at my previous self as well. I think out of the 52 weeks of this year, I have very proudly attended most of our Thursdays, if not watched the recaps. And I can tell you that what I've learnt about leads is there's almost always a lead there, depending on where it's come from, whether it's word of mouth, a previous client, someone that is putting an inquiry in. There are leads there. But what I was also doing is I was looking at leads on some sort of value system and being like, I want those and I don't really want those. So I'm not going to go through the sales process with everyone. I'm going to cherry pick who I want. But what it meant was that when it came time to, and I want you to explain in a second what supplicate means, because I didn't know what that actually meant until I joined your program, and you've skimmed over it there, but I know that most of my audience won't know what that means. I was supplicating all the time. So when a really good commercial lead came along, I hadn't been practicing. And I would shit myself because I had been cherry picking my leads. Now in our business, we treat every lead the same, and they go through the pre-qualifying stage. They go through every single step of the sales process. And then especially when we don't want them, I will send newer cleaners or newer salespeople to go and practice on those leads to see where they get to in their confidence level. But can we just dive into for a second into what is supplicating and why is it bad? Or can it be bad?
Oh, it's always bad in my view.
Yeah.
But it really starts with the mindset. So we as salespeople, when we are selling something, we see the buyer as the prize. We see that your commercial client or your home client, they're the person that has the decision-making ability to spend money with you. And maybe it's a short-term cleaning contract, maybe it's a long-term cleaning contract, maybe it's got multiple sites, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And we want that deal.
Yeah.
And so we've immediately prized the buyer. Why? Because they have the ability to make a decision, give us an EFT, tell us they're going ahead. And what the buyer does with that, as soon as they know they're in control, they are going to turn up the screws and they're going to start resisting on price, on terms, on giving away free stuff. And I know when we first started facilitating, you were giving away, free cleans and all this sort of stuff, which is one way of undervaluing yourself.
Yeah.
And you said it earlier on, heart-centered, empathetic souls, which abound in the cleaning industry, the health profession, the allied health professions, skincare, the spiritual community. There's so many empathetic, heart-based souls who just want to give of themselves.
Yeah.
And so in that space, you don't actually have the framework to be able to resist because you think it's bullying, manipulative, yucky, icky, everything like that. But it's actually the mindset of, hey, look, Mr. Buyer, I'm the prize, not you.
This is the biggest kaboom in sales, I believe, I was like, hang on a second. What do you mean I'm the prize? And I remember you saying to me, you are the solution to their problem. They're coming to you with a problem. They need you and your service, not the other way around. That was mind blowing.
Totally. And it's a mindset. These aren't things that you say to a client, but I'm the prize, not you. You don't need, I don't need you. You need me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a problem with a clean home, with a clean school, with a clean facility. You do. I live in the promised land where everything that I do is sparkly, darkly, it's clean, it's completely safe from germs. It's, you know, absolutely amazeballs. So, Mr. Client, why should I work with you?
Yeah.
It's completely flipping the script. And just with that simple mindset, that will improve conversion rates. It will improve the way you communicate with clients. And because you'll come off with a don't mess with me attitude.
I remember the first time I ever used it and I was absolutely crapping myself. And it was actually Gideon's just walked in coming back from the post office. And we walked into a preschool and we thought we were meeting with the owner. And we were meeting with what I call the hot potato, the quote process to someone else. And I remember saying someone said it in the meeting, oh, look, so-and-so is not here. I'm just with someone. Amy will take you for a walk around. And I stopped and I looked at the two ladies and I said, is Amy the decision maker? Because it's best that I do the walk around with the person that's making the decisions, because I don't want to burden Amy with having to relay all my expertise and all my expert findings about your centre back to the director. So I can either wait until the decision maker is here or we can rebook at another time. I was like choking on those words at that moment. And they looked at each other and Amy said, oh, no, I'm the decision maker. I will tell the director which answer we think we should go with. I was like, great. Then you're who I want to do the walk around with. But I remember I was so nervous because it's the opposite to how we currently quote in the cleaning industry. And it is a race to the bottom. We've got, a really saturated industry. What practical steps would you give to cleaning businesses to position themselves at higher value as a service provider?
To start with, I'll never forget one of the first things that we discussed. You came out to Wandon into the Yarra Valley and you said, hey, look, Martin, I want to take you out for lunch. And it was it was hot as heck, I seem to remember. But I also remember that you said to me, Martin, we in the cleaning industry, we're not even seen. We're considered low. And you got very tearful and emotional about it.
Yeah.
That's a story, people, because what Fiona just shared about how she prized herself, the one thing that everybody wants is to be safe, to be clean and be protected in the premises that they're visiting or that they own. And that comes with a clean and healthy home, right?
Yeah.
And so without you, rodents, disease, muck, mystery, people aren't going to have the life that they can. So that's what serving at the highest level is. And the first mindset that I would say to people is, number one, don't be scared of selling. So many people say, oh, Martin, I'm not a salesperson. Like that in itself, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not pushy enough. That's predicated on two things. That you're not a salesperson, that you're pushy, neither of which is true.
Yeah.
But we've both had, everyone in this world we're a sum of our stories. And at some stage in everyone's past, we've been sold to in a way that was manipulative. And all of a sudden we go home and we've got a $15,000 set of pots and pans that we're going to be playing off for the next 5 years that we can't actually afford. And we feel ripped off, we feel yuck. And there's no way I'm ever going to do that to anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's where everyone's sales stories start.
Yeah.
But you, all your listeners, your viewers, you are a salesperson because you do it every day. You're in a relationship, you don't think you're selling. If you want to go to Chinese and your partner wants to go to Mexican, that's a sell. Your children going to bed on time, eating healthy foods, don't look now, you're selling.
Yeah.
Everyone sells. And this is just another form. So when you are selling, you may as well lead the prospect rather than be led. And this is the real secret, because if you lead someone through a buying process, because most buyers haven't experienced it, they're like putty in your hands. And it's nothing to do with manipulation. It's nothing to do with bullying or cajoling, because that does not work. It's nothing to do with arrogance. That doesn't work either. It's all a matter of having a process of logical next steps you guide someone through, and having firm frame control around the conversations you're having and keeping the conversation on point. If you just do that, your conversions will go up.
Yeah.
And if I can cheek in a sneaky second one, Fiona.
Yeah, of course you can.
It happens all the time. And I've coached a few cleaning companies, not many, but a few. And if I'm not the cheapest, I'm not going to get the job.
Yep.
Bullshit.
Yeah. I agree.
Absolutely crap.
Yep.
It's not about the price. That's the way buyers buy.
Yep.
And so if you don't pitch in a way that's convincing, that shows the prospect that you know what you're doing, that their home, their facility, their school is in good hands with you, what are they going to do? They're going to go back to price because it's easy, because buyers, generally speaking, are lazy. And if you're not doing the work by leading someone through a process, they're going to do what they know how, which is, okay, so you're $130 an hour, your competitor's $120 an hour, so I'm going to go for the cheapest denominator.
Yep.
But what I know now, after working with you for such a long period of time, Fiona, is that there are so many things that get missed by a generalist low-cost cleaner, things that can make all the difference.
Yeah.
And efficiencies that can be made by you in the industry by doing things a certain way. All these things make up the prize that you are. So, number one, you are a salesperson. You sell every day. It's not about the price. Prize yourself, and don't tell yourself stories about what selling is or isn't. Just be you, boo.
Yeah, I love that. Something I think that either you or somebody in the program that you run said to me was, we are always selling, just sometimes we do it well and with intention. Other times we're doing it by accident, we're doing it ignorantly. I also think, and we're going to talk about confidence in a second, I used to, without even realizing that I was cajoling or even manipulating or putting pressure on people, because I knew what I had was good for them and I knew it could fix, help, or do their cleaning business well, but I realized I wanted it for them more than they wanted it themselves. And so then you wind up with this unhappy customer, or a customer that's not a great fit for you, and then the cycle kind of continues. But once, I believe, we have seen this in our own business and in lots of the people in our program now that they're connecting with you, once you have this system in place and you're following it, it almost becomes so easy that you get to the close and they are wanting you so much. They're so thankful that you're there to solve that problem. And the last 4 preschools that we onboarded, we were double and a half their previous cleaner. We had serviced them before, but they left in a bit of a financial crunch. And it was before we knew a lot of these tools as well. So we didn't know that we could adjust the scope, or we didn't know that we could do things from a more powerful position. The negotiating skills that come in from this process. And I'm looking at the process that we've written with you, and it's about 35 steps long. And when we do your diagnostic with most businesses that we work with, out of the 37 steps, they're usually doing about 10. And they're not doing any of them consistently. And then out of that 10, because they're doing them in the wrong order, they're basically going from first date to marriage in a heartbeat. So what question I've got here next is, what role do you believe confidence plays? Because we said we don't want to be arrogant and we don't want to be a servant. So in the middle here is this confidence level that we need. How important is it that we have that, and how much do you think that
It's a great question. So confidence, you're right, can be a double-edged sword. Go too far and you're going to be seen as arrogant and cocky and no one's going to deal with you. But confidence, I'm going to change that around. And I think enthusiasm is a better word for sales than confidence, because if you're enthusiastic, you're going to exude confidence anyway.
Amazing.
And everyone in your franchise, in your business model, knows what they're doing, and they'll be enthusiastic about what they do, because if they're not enthusiastic, they wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
So enthusiasm counts for a lot. Specialist knowledge counts for a lot. And confidence comes from doing the same thing over and over again until it's second nature. And so if I said to you, I've got some bad analogies, but if I said to you, Fiona, hey, look, there's a kitchen at the Redwood Primary School that needs cleaning, you'd be able to go in there and you'd be able to do it without even thinking, and it would be 100% clean by the time you're done. Whereas I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do it once, you're going to go in and go, dude, are you going to finish the other 90% of the work that needs to be done on that? Because that's a shit job. But every time I do it, I'm going to get better at it. And then it's just going to be second nature.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the sales process, because you develop confidence, again, by doing the steps over and over again. It's just like anything that we do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go for, yes, confidence comes, but it comes from enthusiasm. It comes from doing things. It comes from being successful. It comes from everything. And it's really difficult to start out with a high degree of confidence if you're not feeling confident.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Yeah.
And I think that from the perspective of business owners in the cleaning industry, you guys, what you guys do is relentless, thankless, difficult, hot, sweaty, hard. Like, it's all these things. Why do you think people want their homes and their things cleaned by somebody else? Because it's fucking hard. Excuse my language. What you do is really difficult.
Yeah.
And so you do that and you do a hard day's work. Then you come home and you've got to raise invoices. You've got to look at your accounting software. You've got to figure out where my next lead's coming from. You've got to figure out, okay, now I'm going to plan for the next day. And what cleaning supplies do I need on hand? Then you might have a busy home life as well.
Yeah.
The one thing that gets pushed to the back, because most people don't want to do it, is selling.
Yep.
But guess what's the one thing that pays the bills?
Selling. Yeah.
And so it's that one thing, and it's the little things, because everyone in your facilitation is already successful at selling. If you have a cleaning business and you're generating revenue, don't look now. Your sales process is already pretty good because you're raising revenue.
Yeah.
And I think this morning I shared on the group call that you're on that one of the businesses said, when we started working with you, we thought there were going to be all these major changes.
Yeah.
And 5 months down the track, they said there wasn't a single major change. It was a lot of little changes that have now made a massive impact over 5 months.
Yeah. I will agree to that. And I think having a look at the impact it's had on our business alone, closing deals more seamlessly and with less worry and stress from us. I think when you just say it's a lot of small incrementals, by following the 36 steps, you know, if we skip one or we experiment and we put a video in there instead of an email, it's a lot easier to track when you're following some form of process, almost like a recipe, not just throwing things into a bowl. One of the things that I know is going to come up, and so I did want to ask it to you, is the current process for a cleaning business would be lead comes in, whether it comes from Instagram, Facebook, website, telephone, TikTok, wherever it comes from. And they almost always, probably an increment of 7 or 8 out of 10, will in the first 3 questions ask, what's your rate? Now, how do you handle clients that are solely focused on rate? And I sort of know some of your answer to this. And I also strongly learnt a lesson this year where we didn't listen to your advice on this and sent the price before the relationship had been solidified and we lost that client. What are some of your tips? Solely price focused leads come in, probably 7 out of 10. How do you handle when it's their priority and even if it's not ours yet?
Great question. When a lead comes in, this is your opportunity to lead the client through your sales process, not have them lead you through their buying process.
Love that. Can you say that again?
Yeah, it's important that you lead someone through your sales process rather than have the client lead you through their buying process.
Perfect.
And you know it happens if you're responding to them. So in the initial conversation that you have with clients, they should always be responding to you, not the other way around. And if you're asking questions to develop an understanding of what they want, guess what can't happen is they're not going to be asking you about price. But let's just say theoretically that it does. A really easy formula to do. Let's just role play this, see how this works out.
Okay. Yes.
So you be the client and I'll be you. And so I want you to ask me what the price is, really. First question off the bat. Ring. And so, hi, it's Martin from Martin's Cleaning Services.
Oh, hi, Martin. My name's Fiona. I was just wondering whether or not I could get a price on a house clean, please.
Absolutely, Fiona. Hey, look, Fiona, that's an absolutely amazing question, and we will absolutely get to that. But before we do, it's important you understand that here at Martin's Cleaning Service, we're a premium cleaning service. That means we're not going to be for everybody. But to see if we're a good fit, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. So, Fiona, I'm curious, and now I'm going to see, I've answered the question. I've said that's a great question. I haven't answered it. I've said we will get to it. I've then told them that I'm a premium cleaning service. So guess what? I'm not cheap. And I've just gone straight into, tell me a little bit about the cleaning that you're asking me to quote. Because it's impossible to ask that question. How many rooms have you got? What sort of facility are you? Yeah. How many times a week do you want it done? Or a week? How many times a month do you want it done? What are the anomalies that we don't know? Because are you next to a tip which is blowing dust in all the time? Do you have coverings on the windows? All this stuff goes into how you would price a clean, right?
Yes.
So it's completely irrelevant for them to ask you price. They think it, right?
Yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head earlier, because if I say to you, look, an average week, a fortnightly clean for a 4-bedroom home in the inner suburbs of Sydney is $280.
Yep.
They're going to take that $280 and they're going to ring somebody else and they're going to say, what's your price?
Yeah.
The real problem with that, Fiona, is that they don't know how freaking awesome you are yet.
Correct. Yes.
And that's the missing link.
Yeah.
And I don't mean you have to say, oh, look at me, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that. It's not how it works.
No, I agree with you. They haven't built any form of relationship with you yet. When we first started implementing this, I framed this, I think you taught me this actually, where I would say, you know, that's a really great question, Martin. Without seeing your property, your home, your priorities, and seeing where your animals and your kids play a part, and your living style, I really am guessing. And any cleaner that's guessing is either going to go, they're going to guess up or they're going to guess down. So we will get to that at the walkthrough. What I found is, and I'm going to be brutal here, I think we don't sell for two main reasons, or properly. Laziness, because we get overwhelmed, overworked, you know, responding gets tiring. We get lazy, we get a bit slack on the sales process and we want to cut corners. It's purely just time versus stress versus payout, especially if we've got a bunch of leads coming in at once, we'll just get a bit slack at our responses. And the other one, I think, is fear of rejection. And I think it goes back to a lot of the work we've been doing this year is I have gotten so much better at being rejected on the cleaning business side. Couldn't care less how many no's we get. We track our conversions, and I know the more no's that we get, the closer we are to a yes. Why do you think we don't sell properly or we don't sell consistently? Are those the two main ones? And what can we sort of do about them? Or is there more, do you think, to it?
The three biggest fears: fear of rejection, fear of failure, and fear of conflict. They're the three big ones. And yeah, rejection is the one that most people say, ooh, and especially empathetic, heart-centered souls, right?
Yeah.
Because they feel they've been personally...
the cleaning industry.
Yeah. And so people think that the buyer has said, Fiona, you're a morally bankrupt person. I don't like you. Get out of my space. You're a horrible person. That's what people hear. What they've actually been told is the deal that you've put in front of me is not attractive to me.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So someone you've never met cannot reject you. There's only a few instances where they can, like a spouse can reject a spouse, right? Twice, thank you very much. A parent can reject a child, and maybe a teacher could reject a pupil, but that's about it. Someone you don't know can't reject you. And once you get through that, I was very fortunate when I started my selling career in earnest. I had a sports person's attitude. And that is, if I lose, I'm going to win next time. So instead of getting, I've been rejected when someone said no, I went to, how am I going to win next time? And I was just focused and determined on how to do that. And so rejection is number one. Fear of failure. Sales is a sport where you're generally going to fail more times than you win.
Yes.
But most high-level sports are. And the fear of conflict, if you are completely honest with the buyer and you tell the buyer exactly what you would do if you were them, and you serve the buyer at your level and you serve with honesty and integrity, like I know you do, Fiona,
Yep.
and that causes conflict,
Yep.
fuck them. They're not a good fit for you.
Yep. What I'm actually noticing when we dive into the conflict side is, and we've been calling it having brave and courageous conversations this year, you will sell as well as your ability to negotiate when you feel like it's not going away and hold that tension. And I remember you saying to me in the sales process, silence builds tension. We don't like tension and we don't like conflict, and we like things to be good and better. And I do also think a lot of cleaning business owners, or business owners in general, we know that creating a business can sometimes be a trauma response. We are unemployable. We are running away from something or running to something. You know, we've had bad employers or whatnot. So I feel like what sales does is gives you an opportunity to explore how well you do in conflict. And just because someone else says that's a rip-off, it's too expensive, you're not worth that, that's what we might be hearing, when in actual fact they're like, what you put to me for what the money was just didn't land for me this time. I also believe that how scared we are of conflict. I'm watching a lot of cleaning business owners, especially with AI, and I want your opinion on this. They're trying to shortcut the relationship component. They're trying to shortcut the relationship component by doing the sales process in Messenger or text, where we can be misinterpreted, our tone isn't picked up, we're not in the presence of each other as well. And if we get Slack, it's a short text, and we get, you know, we can even read a bit of tone into it. How important do you think it is in the sales process for you to human, face to face, eyeball to eyeball, be in the presence of the person making the decision about? Or do you think that we are headed towards AI, chatbot and messenger taking care of the sales process with us or for us?
If you want to be a bottom dweller and sell at the lowest possible price, do everything on chat, go nuts. If that's your business model, just own it and do it. But if you don't want that to happen, if you want to actually be someone of value, then you must personalize the sales process. I think AI, messenger, chatbots all have a place.
Yeah.
Especially in the initial phases of lead generation. But when it comes to you being invited into someone's home,
Absolutely.
bugger that. I'm not going to invite someone in my home unless I've at least spoken to them. You're not going to get invited into someone's school because it's a sanctity, right? I'm not going to have someone that I don't like walking into my sanctuary.
Yeah.
So the personalization of it as well. And also, even though, you know, when the cleaners are in, because I have cleaners come in here, when they're here, you're not constantly gas bagging to them, but you are having conversations with them and you're striking up rapport and you're build, because you want it to be a long-term relationship.
Absolutely.
And the golden rule of sales, which has never ever changed, is you deal with people you like. And so if they don't like you, guess what? It's going to be a very short-term contract.
Yeah. I love that. In our program, in our coaching, I used to call it bottom feeders, and I've actually been kicked out of Facebook groups for calling it that. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Dwelling at the bottom of our industry is Facebook leads, social media leads, where there's this perception of who you are. So far, they've sent you a lead with an idea that they've created in their mind of who you are, what you represent. And the sales process is the process of making sure that the picture that they have in their mind and the reality of who you are aligns. So we recommend that they get them up and out of places like that as quick as they possibly can into a higher quality interaction where we're in the front seat. So based off sort of what we've talked about today, there's a lot of work for us to do in the cleaning industry. Tell us some inspiring stories about some people that you've seen change their mindset. You know, we're cleaners. I don't have a degree. We're quite often, we have our own fears around losing clients or things like that. But what are some of the really inspirational stories that you've heard or seen of people that have done some of your work? Because you actually call it Sales Olympian and Sales Cardio. And I love the reference to sport, because if you and I were going out to play a game of tennis or we watched two teams playing cricket, we would critique and we would be like, oh, they should have done that and they should have done this. And so when you said earlier, oh, better luck next time, I'll just get better, I'll train better. It's not often that we lose a sales deal, a big one that hurts our business, and go, oh, better luck next time, I'll just do better next time, I'll train better and I'll work harder on my sales process. So is there a light at the end of the tunnel for cleaning businesses? What are some of your inspiring stories for us that are slogging away?
Absolutely. The first thing is you're not going to win them all. And so when a lead comes into your business, understand that you're not going to win them all, and get them into a process and either piss them off or take them through as quickly as you possibly can. Don't waste time. You're the prize. Because if you're wasting time on WAFDAMs, which are waste of freaking time and money, then you're doing an injustice to yourself. That's the first thing. The second thing is sales is just a conversation.
Yeah.
It's nothing more than that. Yes, it's got structure, and yes, it's got a purpose, but that's all it is. And I get motivated and quite emotional. You saw me this morning. I was getting quite emotional because the art of conversation, of selling, not only transforms business, it transforms lives. And I've had a number of people reach out to me post-event and say, Martin, you've completely changed my life. I've been able to have conversations with family members, with people that I've never had conversations with before, and I felt completely safe to do. And so thank you for that. And that's why I do what I do. Yes, the end result is sales, but we're all selling something. Yeah. And if you're looking at an inspiring story, look no further than in the mirror, Fiona. I'm serious. I know this is your podcast, and I know this is not about you, but I'm going to for just a moment. Yeah. Because the one thing that, and this morning I challenged you as well. You said on our thing that I'm a loudmouth, and that not everyone likes me, right? Yep. Not everyone's cup of tea, that's right. And I said, well, let's just reframe that slightly. You're a powerful woman with a view. Yeah. That's not being a loudmouth. You've got a message to share. And the one thing that I know for certain is you operate from the heart. Yeah. Is your message going to resonate with everybody? No. But you don't want it to either. Yeah. That's a reflection of it. And the way you show up and the way you implement and the way you do what you do and the passion that you have for a thankless industry and your clients, my gosh, girl, what you do for your clientele is, in your coaching and in your businesses, it's amazing. And congratulations. And, you're an inspirational story to many.
I haven't shared a lot of the actual journey over the last year and how our worlds kind of collided in it. I think there's times when you are selling to grow a business and there's different sales seasons. And I think there's selling to grow a business, there's selling because you can, and there's selling to save a business. And I think we were working together for about 3 months when we had a competitor and an employee steal a laptop and steal a client list. The first client that we lost was at the end of their contract. That was a $200,000 contract. The second one that we lost was about a $70,000 contract. Lost that to the employee within 2 days of the laptop going missing. And the third one was a $260,000 contract. Now, for a business of our size to lose a third of its clients in such a short period and then have to send such significant energy on legal, I will without a doubt say, and I don't even know how to put this into words, it saved my business, but it also, having skilled sales conversations meant that I wasn't selling from a subservient position. I was selling from confidence, but I had a sales coach to run this by. I cannot recommend enough people having coaches. I am a coach, but I also think that if we were actually in a state or high level athlete sport, we come back after a game and we get chewed out by the coach. And the coach says, you did this, I want you to tweak this, because a coach sees what you don't. The amount of times that you have reframed me to go, whoa, I'm going to stop you there. I'm not going to allow you to speak to yourself like that. If you're selling poorly and you're selling in a subservient way, you're probably looking at yourself in that way as well, because selling is kind of that mirror. If you'd ever said that I would speak on stage, which I did last week, for $1,000 for 1 hour, that to me would have been crazy talk 12 months ago. But I now know how to sell with being ethical, being so confident in what we offer as a business. And I think that we would not have recovered that position this year without you as our sales coach. I know that. The mindset side of this, I think it's like 85% mindset and messaging around. So it's the mindset, but it's the messaging. It's what comes out of your mouth about your business. It's people talk about the pitch or the 30 words that you shouldn't or should say. But what I believe that you do, Martin, and this is, I've watched you do this for businesses that are at I think you said 80 million. I think there's people in our coaching container that you run that are at 10, 20, 30 million. This is a $1 problem and it's a $1 billion problem. Sales reflects how we view ourselves and the world. And I am thankful to say I have never felt more harmonious with my vision for the world and the way that I sell. And it's been a wonderful year. Have you written a book? Is that your book behind you? I want to talk about now what you do. So I think you've got a book. You've also, so there you go, The Olympian. And if you're listening and you want to connect with Martin and you want to learn more about sales, talk to us about what you do, Martin, so people can get in touch with you. I definitely want to make this a series where Martin comes and does more specifically in the cleaning industry, because what I was actually leading into there was we were just on the cusp of and just over 88. We did our first $100,000 month, which is a $1.2 million cleaning business. Ka-cha. And no sooner did we reach 7 figures than we had those clients taken. And so we just this month hit the 100,000 sales, or we are like within a 15th. That is the power of strategic selling and the strength of these skills. So I've been in your Olympian program, but what other programs have you got? If people do want to find you, they want to learn more about sales, they can obviously read your book, but what offerings have you got for people listening?
Look, there's lots of ways that people can get started, and a lot of it would be just start with the free content, right? Dip your toe in the water, because you can jump on our mailing list. We have lead magnets on Facebook at the Sales Strategist, and that will give you an indication. There's lots of free stuff. The classic thing is we give away all of our great IP, and so you can implement on your own. And so there's lots of stuff that you consume on your own for free. And if that's you, that's absolutely amazing. Then we have a program which is called the Sales Cardio Fast Track, which is specifically for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, or business owners who are doing all the selling for themselves. You may not have a sales team yet. Yeah. And that's a learn at your own pace course, along with 3 months of direct access to exactly the same weekly calls that Fiona jumps on, so that you can workshop your sales process in real time. And there's a lot of information on there on mindset.
Awesome.
And so that's something that we do for
that course below in the podcast notes. We'll include all of these links so you can find Martin.
Thank you. And then we have our accelerator program, which is the same, but there's a lot of one-on-one. And then all roads lead to the Olympian program, which is what you're on.
Yeah.
And so
I've done the accelerator, and what I can say is different about, in my opinion, about the accelerator is being able to work with you one-on-one. I'm a rapid integrator, and I didn't have a lot of time to fuck around and find out. So if you are, in my opinion, this is just my limited opinion, if you're over $500,000 revenue, if you have a team and you're now starting to have admin and supervisors, you absolutely need to get a sales process in place sooner rather than later. Everyone in the business is selling. I want you to hear that as well, whoever's listening. They're out there representing you, and they're at the servo being asked, what do you do? And they're like, oh, I just work for a cleaning company. All of our cleaners now know what our pitch is, so they can give out a business card. We didn't really realize that we were also unselling as well as selling. So if you're over $500,000 revenue, it was the best 6 to 8 weeks that I spent just getting that process in play, because once you sell your way in your business, you can't really be competed with. It's the lead finds you, you pre-qualify the lead. We're going up against 3 and 4 other cleaners now and still walking away with the contract, which is amazing. And then on to Olympian. So I really valued the one-on-one time we spent, but I also saw this as an investment. So being ready to put some money aside. And if you're not already, if you are growing a business and you're not putting money aside to be coached, whether it's in sales, Google AdWords, whatever the specialty in your business is, then your competitors probably are getting this level of coaching. In fact, I think you even had 1 or 2 of my competitors try to work with you this year because you are quite the prize. I watch businesses come in and work with you and come out the other side different people, and that's just incredible work. So we will pop all of those links below. What does 2025 look like for you, Martin?
So 2025 looks for me. So I've just changed my business model a little bit. And so in line with what you said earlier, very strategically going after now the businesses that I actually want to work with, you know, the names of the businesses that I want to work with.
Yeah.
Because it's now at the stage about, you know what, talking about pricing. You know, I belong in those large businesses, but I also get an absolute kick out of dealing with solopreneurs and entrepreneurs because the growth is so significant. So it's going to be a balancing act, but this year is full throttle. My partner and I, she runs a business as well, and we're both going full throttle together this year, and it's going to be a hell of a ride. We're really looking forward to it, and it involves a lot of selling, it involves a lot of conversations and helping people to achieve their best life, because that's what sales success will do for anybody.
Yeah.
If you can succeed at selling, bring more revenue, bring more income into your business, bring more margin when you're not discounting, then that will give you the ability to create the lifestyle you want. And, you know, Fiona, we were talking to the other day about you being the cleaning coach who coaches $1 million plus cleaning businesses.
Yeah.
And this is not a pipe dream. You know, Fiona has the methodology to take you from $100,000 to $250,000 to $500,000 to $750,000 to $1 million within 2 years.
Yeah.
And it all's based on a formula. It's all based on selling. And imagine when you get there, what degree of freedom will that give you as an individual?
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible that you say that, because I think sometimes we don't see past what we're in now. And the idea is that you create a service-based business that you then leave. Like I was just on Rottnest Island for 5 nights, flew over on a seaplane, snorkeled, ate lobster, got sunburnt, drank too much, you know, made a lot of dirty jokes, and just had this once in a lifetime trip, because I can spend $5,000 or $10,000 on a weekend away and not come home to a financial hangover. I've got that freedom. And I used to think that everybody was for me, but like you've kind of said now, you have certain businesses that you want to work with. But the good news is that your program and my program is available at that learn at your own pace. And the quicker that you learn and the quicker that you adapt, the quicker that this will show significant improvement. We just did a clean this week that we sold on Martin's. We didn't want it. It was, we've never done this type of clean in this amount of time. We subcontracted a lot of the clean out because we didn't have a big enough team. We just did the numbers today. Actually, I've got the post-it note here in front of me. And this is the kind of impact that your selling has. We took a coaching client with us and we said, we're either going to make heaps of money or none, because these are the kinds of cleans that you can lose money on. It was a $45,000 builder's clean. We had 3 separate businesses all working in collaboration together, and the profit was $40,000, a 40% net profit, which was about $18,000. It's the highest percentage net profit that we've seen, but the sales didn't stop at securing the job, because we then used our sales skills to negotiate with the builder. We then had personality clashes. We used our sales skills to massage our team back into collaboration. We then had to negotiate a profit share for those businesses that helped on the clean. So we ran what's called open book. So we were sitting here this morning as a team celebrating what is a record percentage for the my cleaning business, but also sitting here with the contractors saying, what do you think you should have as profit share? Here's your chance to negotiate, and here's your chance to continue this sales skills. So what ended up happening is it was an even split of profit at a 40% net profit. Everybody was blissfully happy, and we put $500 in the budget to take everyone out for a thank you lunch that was on that clean. It feels good to sell like this. And there is that coulda, woulda, shoulda. I wish I could go back in time and talk to Fiona 2 or 3 years ago when she, there'd be people listening to this who have been sold to by me when I was a bit more coercive or a bit more, aggressive or even placating and over-serving. But it feels good on this side, and you do absolutely change lives as we do. And at 2 of our coaching levels next year, our coaching clients actually get access to Martin. We're actually bringing him in as a guest expert and putting some of our coaching clients through your courses. So I'm excited that you're going to stay available for solopreneurs as well as big multi-million dollar businesses. That feels really good, because the impact that you've had on my life and even in our community. When we went to Bali, Martin did not know he'd be running our conference. That's just popped into my mind. That's a fun story, and we've got a few minutes left before we hit our hour. But we went to Bali and Martin was my keynote. And I pursued Martin, and I actually watched how you sold to me in that process. And that's a discussion for another time. But he knew what he wanted to be paid. He knew what he was worth. He knew the outcomes that he was going to get for us. And so he flew to Bali to be our keynote speaker. And he did an incredible session. And then that was day 1. And at about 7 o'clock on day 1, Fiona went down with gastro, both ends, all ends, and wound up on a drip. And I was completely out for the second day of our conference. But what I had also done, and this is the other part of selling that is so magical, and hopefully this is a second podcast, is it is impactful, purpose-driven, loving, community, life-changing energy. So I had told Martin enough about what we did, expressed to him what the outcome that we wanted, who our people were. I feel like he had just been given the brief on us. So he was able to just step in on day 2 and help Gideon run the conference. And you were the highlight for a lot of people. Selling is relationship. Yeah. Yep. I love that. Thank you so much for listening. For those of you at home, we absolutely adored having you. Thank you for being a guest, Martin. You can find Martin in all of the show notes, and we will see you on the next episode. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for listening to that podcast, and I hope you got some amazing takeaways from it. You can help us by clicking the subscribe link or sharing with us the topics that you'd like to see in future. Please do subscribe, because it helps little businesses like us stay relevant. And I hope that after this podcast, you know that you were made for more.